Cable news refused to report Trump's bombshell quid pro quo effort. This is the headline over on Common Dreams by Olivia Roseanne May. Donald Trump spoke to a group of oil industry executives. It was a fundraiser. And he said, you give me $1 billion and I'll overturn all of Joe Biden's climate regulations. Now that's in the legal parlance known as solicitation of a bribe. MSNBC covered it extensively. MSNBC, it was covered 18 minutes on Ali Velshi's show, a discussion on Alex Wagner's show, a discussion on Chris Hayes' show, Alex Witt Reports, Amen, Readout, and Weekend. All of those shows on MSNBC mentioned the fact that Donald Trump solicited a bribe from the fossil fuel industry. You know who didn't even mention it once? Fox News, CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, World News Tonight, Good Morning America, This Week, CBS Mornings, Evening News, Face the Nation, NBC's Today Show, Nightly News, and Meet the Press. None of them mentioned it even once. I was interested to see, I believe it was this morning, Joe Scarborough just taking apart the New York Times with this New York Times Siena poll that shows that Biden's way behind. It's probably the thing that prompted Biden to say, okay, let's debate. But it's such an outlier. It's you know, basically most of the polls are showing that Biden is growing in strength and Trump is losing. So, you know, don't panic just because the New York Times tells you to. Arthur Schultzberger, I think is how you say his name, the guy who owns the New York Times. He's very pissed off with Joe Biden right now because Donald Trump did a sit-down interview with him, an exclusive sit-down interview. He wants to do the same thing with President Biden. President Biden so far has refused. And so this is the New York Times basically trying to beat up Joe Biden, in my opinion, and the opinion of many other people, by the way. Meanwhile, to the debates, Joe Biden did say, okay, yeah, let's have a debate. Number one, cut his mic when he's not, you know, it's not his turn to talk. Number two, no audience, so he can't, you know, play to the audience. And number three, we don't want this whole presidential commission thing. Now, you know, for I don't know if it was a century, but for a long, long time, the League of Women Voters used to run the debates. If you go back and watch the Nixon-Kennedy debates, I mean, there's just some great debates that the League of Women Voters did. And in 1988, well, he wasn't president at the time. He was vice president. George Herbert Walker Bush said, you know, and it was Bush against Dukakis at that time. And he said, I will not debate Michael Dukakis if the debate is moderated by the League of Women Voters. And the reason why, of course, was because the League of Women Voters was pretty scrupulous about asking follow-up questions and trying to pin people down. And Bush knew that in circumstances like that, he would be destroyed because he basically had no record to run on. And Reagan's record was starting to get really, really toxic in the minds of lots of people. So he said, I will only debate in a debate forum that is sponsored by the two political parties who, you know, have an interest in making their guys look good, but not so much of an interest in making holding the other guy accountable to tell the truth. And so they created this so-called presidential commission. It was just a BS, you know, public relations thing by the two political parties. So now Biden comes along and says, I don't want that. I want a real debate. So we'll see how this plays out. But Sean Hannity is all flipped out about this. He says moderators shouldn't be allowed to fact check. He says the crybaby excuses have started even faster than you. Oh, he didn't say that. Ron Filipowski says crybaby excuses have started even faster than you. This crybaby, of course, Sean Hannity. He said, I would add that moderators' mics, they need to be muted. Also after a question, why? Because it's obvious the liberal media, muting the moderators, not Trump, the moderators. He says the liberal media, they'd love to be 2-on-1 versus Donald Trump. No, that can't happen. Nor should networks be allowed to put anything on the screen but the names of the candidate. In other words, you can't say on the screen, oh, that was a lie Trump just told. And the moderators can't jump in and say, but that's not true, Mr. Trump. You know, this guy, Trump, yesterday on TV, he said he won Minnesota in 2020. He lost by 7 points. This guy lies the way most of us breathe.